For now, for the road. So I don't really go to London that much anymore. But when I do, there's one thing I get so excited to do every single time. But I really look forward to going back to London to do it. Look at this, look at this, look at this. How gorgeous is the moon this morning? I've been off the coffee for the last couple of days and gave myself some permission for some cacao this morning. But I'm going to London. I think I need caffeine to go to London. I don't know how to navigate London without caffeine. Tree in my garden just always has house sparrows in it. Just doing their little thing. Morning, guys. Bye, mate. You be a good boy. I love you so much. You're staying here. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at going places without Ernest. I just miss him instantly. He's 4 now, but we've spent like all of his life just like literally joined at the hip, and we would just do everything together. And then in the last kind of like year or so, we've started to have a bit more separation and like, you know, a bit more, I guess I don't take him literally everywhere with me anymore. And I kind of miss the days that I used to. Alexander's cleaver, 3-cornered leek. So I've just got a really quick turnaround today. Basically 24 hours in London. Got one job to do while I'm there. Let's get it done. Look at the size of this ribwort plantain. Look at that. I don't think I've ever seen them so big in my life. There's actually some pretty good surf this morning. There's a few people in already. I actually grew up here, and so every time I come back it's like, yeah, there's a place in my heart for London, but just in short chunks, you know. This is why I'm here. Up there. Vivo have started doing 3D printed custom footwear, and the reason I had to come to London was to scan my feet on this contraption here. Straight in?
Yeah, you would need to either roll up your thumbs or just hold them up a little bit. So you get your big toe in between there.
Fantastic. Right up there.
Right up there, yeah.
Mad contraption, isn't it?
Yeah. Spin that around, look at it from various angles. So 270 millimeters, you can see that your right foot is 3 millimeters longer.
So I'm putting a lot of weight on my heels.
Yeah.
And then I'm putting I always get my socks wear down in that spot all the time.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to see.
Yeah, quite often we'll see a hot spot in that area if someone's got a second toe that's longer than the big toe.
Okay, yeah.
How long do you think we'll do, Frank? Okay. That charges it. Yeah, I'll do that.
How's it feeling? A little bit odd being on a treadmill?
Odd being on a treadmill, yeah, and weird being out of boots.
You should have a point where you naturally start running and start walking. Yeah, this is about bang on. I'm tapping it out at about 178, so pretty much on 180. Look at that.
I want my knee to be more stacked, don't I?
Yeah, so ideally you'd want to get your ears over shoulders, over hips, and then that foot landing underneath.
Amazing. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So done. By the way, Seth from the future here. I just wanted to say, for a bit of transparency, Vivo Barefoot did not pay me to make this video. I just wanted to make the video, but I am an ambassador with them. Make of that what you will. The thing I came to London to do is done. It was that quick. I think I was in there for an hour maybe. But it means now that they've got my foot scans, and going forward they'll have them forever. I guess my feet probably will change over the years as I run barefoot and walk barefoot more, and do all that kind of stuff more, they might spread out a little bit. But now anytime I need a pair of custom shoes, they've got the feet deets. So now I've got a few hours to kill. Got something else on this evening, just milling around London now. So I used to work in there somewhere. Yeah, I used to work in that building. There was about a year or so of my life where I'd work in there, and just freelance, but I used to edit and film Tom Daly's vlogs for about a year or so, and that's where his talent agency was, and I'd go in there and edit quite a lot of the time alongside the Happy Mum Happy Baby podcast, which I've edited hours of. I actually learned a lot. I learned a lot as a 19-year-old editing that podcast, but that was a funny chapter of my life. I wonder what it feels like to be a tree in London, like locked into a little patch on the pavement. Maybe it's alright, who knows, maybe they don't care. I'm sat in a gorgeous park right now. Whenever I'm walking around London, I'm like always picturing what that patch of earth would have looked like, you know, say 1,000 years ago. It can be really easy to forget that, you know, London was built in wilderness. Everywhere's been built in wilderness. You know, the wilderness is cut down to make way for the cities. Now, I'm not saying I have a particularly strong opinion of that or if that's good or bad, but it's just, I think for me it's really important to remember that where I'm sat right now at one point would have been like just a thriving ecosystem of life. I mean, it still is a thriving ecosystem of life, but a different type, a different style. And yeah, both are beautiful for different reasons, I suppose. I'm sat right next to this gorgeous lime tree, and you can eat young lime leaves. I don't know. I never know if I should forage things like that in London. I'm sure it would be fine, but I've had a slightly dodgy stomach today. I don't know what I've eaten, but I don't know if it's wise to go around like hoovering up plants from the streets of London. I mean, look at the size of that silver birch tree. That is massive as birch trees go. Look at the size of it. Because although, you know, a lot of us think of cities like London as being quite old, they're just not very old. You know, even a few thousand years isn't that old. And what's been here a lot longer in terms of human history is like wilderness areas. And I think that's why I'm fascinated by it, really, because it's just to remember that like this patch of earth that's beneath my feet right now, right here, has spent so much more time as a wild ecosystem than a human city. It's a weird thing to think about. There are a few things I enjoy more than sitting on a street in London in the sun in the spring and drinking a cold pint. It's very, very good. I'm going to miss that on the wild biome, but it's good to have a month off these things. So this little trip to London happens to have coincided with my friend Poppy's book launch, Poppy Okocha. If you haven't come across her on social media, she does beautiful things, and she's got a book coming out which is launching at Dawn Books in Marylebone tonight, and I just happened to be in London for it, and so that's where we're going. That's where we're going now.
Cheers to Poppy. Hi everyone, I didn't write a speech and I regret it and it's really from a deep place in me, so I hope that you enjoy it.
Pretty wet out there today. But yeah, I grew up in London. I grew up in this house. I lived here till I was 16, and then I moved to Cornwall and went to do my sixth form down there, and then I stayed. And you know, growing up in the city, although I was incredibly privileged to have kind of access to beautiful parks and connection with nature that I did have, you know, still growing up in the city, it's not the kind of life that I live now, let's say. And because I didn't have access to the kind of like wild nature that my body was kind of calling for, I spent a lot of time playing this. You know, what I love about this game is that it feels so immersive, and some days I can just be like walking around picking flowers and making potions, and then other days, you know, you can be doing some pretty epic stuff. The lore of it, the world is so massive, and I would just spend so many hours of my childhood in this world. The world is made up of stories for me. Like the culture, the way we move through our lives is a combination of stories. I feel that like Western culture, largely modern Western culture, is kind of suffering from a kind of amnesia around their connection to the land and the kind of folkloric stories or the indigenous stories. And in the absence of those stories of our indigenous past in Northern Europe, I feel we gravitate to digital worlds like these. Lord of the Rings, Skyrim, Game of Thrones. And it might sound kind of weird that, and it's like obviously it's a poor replacement for the real thing. But these worlds, you know, they're really often set in kind of in like a fantasy version of Northern Europe, effectively. Like this is very based on like Scandinavia. One of the races you can be is called Breton. Let me show you. He's part of what they call the Breton race in this game, and the Breton people are from Brittany in northwest France. The Breton language and the Cornish language and the Welsh language they all come from the same stem. So, you know, of course, Skyrim is very much based on Scandinavian kind of folklore and like culture, but you get these other like seeds of almost indigenous Europe dropped into the game in the forms of things like the Breton race. And I think my deepest desire as a human, for me personally, is to belong. I want to be indigenous, whatever that means. This even seems like a weird thing to come out of my mouth, but my deepest desire is to be indigenous. What I mean by that is I want to be a human who really knows the land, you know, knows the plants, knows the animals, can sleep outside, can heal himself, knows how to hunt his own food, and maybe most importantly, you know, has deep reverence for the land and knows how to hold sacredness, basically. I really do feel that it's games like this that have, you know, as a kid growing up in London, have helped me in a weird kind of way try and connect to my sense of indigeneity, try and reclaim that sense of belonging in the natural world. So yeah, in short, I love this game and it's my favourite thing to look forward to when I come back to London.
Love you, babe.
Love you, bye.
Take care.
I've got about an hour and a half left of my 24-hour turnaround in London. Heading back to Paddington Station now. Herb Robert. Herbus Roberto. That's not the name. One of the things I love about learning to identify plants is just like wherever I go, I feel like I've got these kind of friends just along this path. Nettle, cleaver, Herb Robert. Look, the nettles are already starting to flower here. The first flowering nettles of the season I've seen so far. So I was really expecting Ernest to run through the door, and he's not here. That was so anticlimactic. I don't really know how to end this video. How do vlogs end? Just, I don't know.